Hey everyone, welcome to another Good e-Reader comparison video. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Today we have the Kobo Arc 10 HD versus the Nook HD Plus. This is the battle of the large screen e-readers. Nook HD, 9 inches versus the 10 inches on the Arc HD. Arc has a little bit better resolutions, 2560 by 1600, whereas the Nook HD is 1920 by 1280, somewhat respectable. Nook HD has a dual-core 1.5 GHz processor, while the Kobo has a 1.8 quad-core processor, 2 gigs of RAM on a Kobo, 1 gig of RAM on the Nook HD, and you have front-facing webcam on the Kobo 1.3, but there's no camera at all on the Nook. Now, here's the deal. The Nook HD, $149. Hella respectable. Kobo Arc HD, both $399. Somewhat not the most pocket friendly. Let's take a look at the hardware.
We're going to look at the Nook HD Plus first. So this is laid out in more of a portrait orientation here, as you can see. It's kind of the way it was designed. It looks like no other tablet, which is probably one of the coolest things about it. You have a lot of cool design features. A little lanyard loop there. Keyed out N logo. You have the embossed N at the back. Nice rubber feel. Stereo speakers, but they're really small and they're off to one side. This actually does have two, but it's not laid out the best. You have volume controls up top along with power button on the side. You have no microphone. There's just a status indicator light, clean on the left. You do have, however, a micro SD card slot suitable up to 32 gigabytes, which is a very big plus to this device. However, you do have a 20-pin proprietary port, which I don't know why they did that, because no one uses really proprietary ports anymore except Apple, on the bottom for charging and transferring data. The Kobo looks very simple and similar to everything else on the market from the front. The back, however, starts to get really interesting. It's very chiseled. Speakers are asymmetrical pattern up top. Volume buttons on the left. Power button on the top. Microphone. And we also have all of our ports along with a micro HDMI port as well.
And no expandable memory.
No expandable memory on the Kobo.
Okay, let's take a look at the software experience. These are the home screens here. As you can see that Kobo lays it out a little bit differently. Books that you have purchased, books that are similar to the books that you have already purchased, and sort of recommended reads, top books. It's fairly intuitive and it's well laid out. You do have your collections, which I really dig. You could add not only books but also pocket articles, so tweets, Facebook, status, status updates, and websites. Things like that. You could actually set up ones for your family, which are cool. And the Nook is actually laid out quite a bit differently. These are both like heavily skinned versions of Android.
Right. You do have your Amazon-esque carousel here with your most recently opened apps. Then you do have your traditional screens of Android. You can see what screen you're on based on the little dots at the top. Everything's pretty much in your library, separated by headers. So you can see kids, catalogs, apps, movies, etc. You have your Nook button, which is your home button, sends you home at any time. You also have your conventional gridded list of apps under apps.
You also have the same thing here as well.
And we must note that we are currently running the latest version that allows this device to be Google certified, which makes this even more of a bargain.
Now, since we're talking about apps, just very quickly, Google Play, you can only get apps from Google Play or from Barnes and Noble's own app store. You can't actually sideload in your own apps because it just doesn't let you. Whereas with the Kobo Arc, it does have Google Play. It's certified, but you can actually load in your own apps via sideloading. We're going to look at a number of things, eBooks, magazines, newspapers, and a whole lot more. So let's get right into it.
I'm going to open up a couple books here. Let you guys look at the differences between the screens, brightnesses, everything like that as we go along here. So we have a couple ways to change text on the side, on the bottom right corner for the Kobo. I think the Barnes and Noble's laid out a little bit better because once you choose the double A symbol, you actually get a full set of...
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of like the way Barnes and Noble lays this out.
Right, and you do have actually 6 themes. You not only have sepia, you also have this kind of granite gray. You also have a soft brown. So you have a little bit of an off-white as well. So lots of ways to change the reading experience to your liking. Line spacing, margins, everything changes live. Tap out of it to get out. If you long press on the screen on a word, you actually get a whole bunch of options here. With Kobo, you get a little bit more. You get Wikipedia, Google Full View, Dictionary, and then a bunch
you get like
of
an instant dictionary pop-up, whereas with the Nook, you actually have to go to a dedicated menu option.
Yeah, you have to either look it up, find in books, share quote, add notes, or highlight. So we're going to make a highlight. Only comes in one color on the Barnes and Noble. It comes in many colors on the Kobo. We can also add a note. So we'll compare keyboards here once we add a note. There we go. Unresponsive sometimes, but so you see that you have 2 different keyboards here. With the Kobo, you actually have side loading capability, so you can load in more keyboards if you like. But for now, these are the 2 keyboards. Sure. That was some touchscreen errors here today. Save that. Page turns, very quick on both. We have a lot more capabilities to go beyond the book on the Kobo with Beyond the Book, and this will tell you things like about the author. If you don't know what runes are when they keep mentioning those, you can actually look this up and it'll tell you about where runes are mentioned and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, you also get a sense of how many people have read the book, how many times it was finished. Get a sense of the author and the other works and stuff like that. Fairly cool. Okay, let's take a look at something else.
Alright, well, we're going to go over to the Marvel app, and we're going to look at a comic. So we have the same comic here, loaded on both screens. Get a sense of the colors and all that. Maybe let's go to this one right here, the one that says die. Well, it's a little graphic, but it does give you some good colors.
Okay, let's maybe do something else.
So you can get a sense of the colors they use. Let's go to a portrait kind of shot here. Here we go. Let's do some pinching and zooming, shall we? They both pinch and zoom very, very smoothly. However, they don't go very far zoomed in. They kind of snap back. So you can see the reds are a little bit different. A lot more purples in here. Remember, this is a significantly older model than the Kobo Arc 10 HD. This just came out.
Yeah,
so.
This just came out. This has been around for about a year or so.
Yeah. You also get a couple of settings, like with these multiple pages, you can go through the entire comic and choose your page, something you don't get on a real comic, so it's kind of cool. Jump right to the page.
I think magazine or comics rather look a little bit better on the Arc. You know, you can see skin tones a little bit more polished.
Yeah.
Here it's like you kind of see like lines and kind of weird blotchiness.
A lot more pixelated on the compared right next to each other. Yeah, I mean it sure is noticeable.
Okay, let's look at magazines.
So we have the same ESPN magazine here. We have to go to our categories here and ESPN. There's both of them side by side. Oh, the next big thing.
Yeah, is that the new Nexus?
Samsung. There might be a ad for a Note. Oh, the gear. Yeah, that's really cool. I've actually played with one of those at an electronics store here in Canada.
Yeah, wearable tech. They're not too bad. Like the next thing.
Yeah. So you get little page turn animations here on the Nook. You actually don't get those on the Kobo, but you know it's a small thing. We both have these to the maximum brightness, but it seems that the Nook is a little bit brighter.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is when we go to, let's just look at any image here.
Sure.
It's a 10-inch screen, but you notice that the magazines are the same size. There's a lot of negative black space here. So with magazines, at least, purchased from the Kobo store and purchased from the Nook store, it's not really taking advantage of the 10-inch screen real estate.
No, it isn't. We found that. If you look at an iPad, you'll know exactly what we're saying. If you see our comparisons with either of these versus the iPad makes good use of the full screen. But this, you do have a lot of borders.
Yeah, it's like you have to kind of pinch and zoom for it to actually go full screen.
That is true.
Yeah, by default it doesn't. And so I'm not too enamored by that. I would say it's kind of poor on almost both of their parts, but if you could pinch and zoom, it's fine. But I don't think either of these pull off magazines well.
No, they do it just kind of to the bare minimum. There's not too much here. That's really
but with magazines, you can actually do scrapbooking.
Yes, you can. On the Nook, you can actually choose this little scissors, and you click that, and you can save that page as if you've ripped it out to your scrapbook.
I think that this is a really kind of cool feature because, let's say that, you're getting married soon and your wife is your prospective bride-to-be is looking for a bridal gown. She could look at like 10 different magazines and just pull scrapbook photos out and then have like a magazine that's just like these pages taken out of like 8 or 9 different magazines.
Yeah, that is true.
Fairly cool. I mean, you can do that with like fashion, with tech, or, if your kids are looking for Christmas gifts, they can kind of pull these little, I want this toy out of here. I want Skylanders video game out of this thing, and it's cool. I like it.
Kindle Fire HDX. Oh.
Oh, yeah. I guess that makes sense. Okay, let's take a look at newspapers.
All right, we're going to open up our favorite newspaper reading app here, Press Reader. And we have the Vancouver Sun open on both of these.
Okay, so this takes advantage of the screen real estate a little bit better.
Right, and so does this, but the screen is just bigger here. Now, neither of these are too readable unless you have perfect vision, but if you notice, we do have those highlighted titles, and you can either pinch and zoom to find the sweet spot or click on those titles, and once you do, you get sent into almost like an ebook. So you can scroll through everything, article to article.
You can increase like the size of the font if you want.
You do have font up and font down on the Nook. You don't have any font styles. If you long press, they both kind of have the same options: listen, copy, share, oppose, agree with, all that kind of thing. And this way, you actually strip away all the ads, most of the pictures, except for a little thumbnail here and there, and it actually just lets you read the paper article to article. And then you can go back to page view simply by clicking page or page view icon at the bottom.
Okay. Next thing that we're going to do is look at the audio-visual experience using a Netflix. I think that the Arc 10 pulled videos and audio off a little bit better, mainly due to its speakers that are separated. But I think in order to get the best video and audio experience out of both of these, you don't want to have them back down because that's where the speakers are. You want to be able to like hold it in your hand or have it on your lap, or to invest in like a kickstand or something like that. I think I like the Arc 10 a little bit better. It's more geared towards an international audience. We live in Canada, and with the Barnes and Noble Nook HD, you're somewhat a bit limited buying things through Barnes and Noble. So what you want to do is, if you live in a lot of international markets, get everything through Google Play. That's your best option to subscribe to magazines, to get textbooks, to do all this stuff. And I think that was Barnes and Noble's critical move in order to make the Nook a little bit more accessible to an international crowd, to deal with Google Play. Kobo, same thing, Google Play, but I think it's international. It's more international friendly. You could buy things directly through Kobo in like 190 different countries in like 30 different languages, so you're pretty well good to go. So we'll let you guys make the ultimate final call. Would you like better? Maybe the reasons why. Drop a comment on this video, and for all of our other videos, you can check out youtube.com/goodyreader, and for exclusive comparison video between the Nook HD Plus and the Kobo Arc HD 10. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.